Thank you, everyone, for joining us this Thursday, so close to the holidays. My name is David Paquette. I am the Associate Director of Research here at Massachusetts AI and Technology Center for Connected Care and Aging, or for short, MassAITC, which is a National Institutes on Aging P30 funded center that's focused on developing and funding the development of AI and technology for helping older adults to age successfully in the homes. Um, Today, I'm privileged to be able to welcome and introduce one of our Grant Year 3 pilot awardees, who's Gong Wang from the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, who is an associate professor whose research interests span security and privacy, machine learning, and human-computer interaction. Um, his work is to build explainable and robust data-driven solutions to protect internet systems, uncover novel threats, and augment our abilities to perform security tasks. He's been a recent recipient of an NSF Career Award, Amazon Research Award, a Google Faculty Award, and has won numerous best papers from the number of computer science um, conferences. And recently, his team has won first place at an Amazon Nova AI challenge that was, relevantly focused on code LLM safety. Today, he's going to talk about work from a project that we're funding, leveraging LLM-based agents to aid older adults and really anyone to identify and protect themselves from SMS phishing attacks. And that involved a collaboration with OSF Healthcare. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Gong Wang, and thank you all for joining us this afternoon.
All right, thanks, David, for the nice introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm Gong. I'm a associate professor from University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. Today, I'm very happy to be here to talk about our recent work on phishing detection and explanation using large language models. This is a joint work with my students at the University of Illinois and our colleagues at OSF Healthcare. So a little bit about my own background. So I'm a computer scientist working in the area that is sort of the intersection area between security, machine learning, and networking. But across all of those, I kind of interested in human factors as well. So a big part of my recent research focus on machine learning enabled abuse or attacks. This ranges from deepfake, attacks to some traditional software backdoors and privacy attacks. On the other hand, I look into machine learning enabled security defenses to look at defense mechanism using AI, LMs, and agents. So the phishing defense is part of this thrust that I'm interested in. On top of that, I do have a portion of research that is not involved in machine learning at all, right? These are traditional network security research that look at different protocol level vulnerabilities or their adoption in the real world. So for today's topic, I wanted to talk a little bit about our recent work on SMS phishing defense. SMS phishing basically means that phishing sent through SMS messaging on the phone. So in the recent years, the financial impact of SMS phishing has been growing rapidly. According to the FTC report as of 2024, the financial losses has reached 400 million US dollars. And if you look at the sort of distribution of different age groups that, lose money through SMS phishing, so you see there's a trend that older adults looks like more targeted and more vulnerable. For this consideration, when we design the solution, we do have the general user population in mind. But at the same time, we definitely want to make sure we check on how well they work on older adults and see if we needed to adapt our design accordingly. So detecting phishing SMS has its own unique challenges. One of the more obvious challenge is that they are really short. If you compare it to emails or some other medium, there's very limited information for you to do direct security analysis. Often cases, you see these shortened URLs in those messages. The problem is that those shortened URLs are appearing, based on our own empirical analysis on real-world messages, they're appearing in both the legitimate ones and malicious ones. So the existence of the shortened URL itself really doesn't indicate maliciousness. So these shortened URLs hide the true destination of the URL, the true domain names of the websites behind those shortened form, make direct analysis very difficult. On the other hand, you cannot rely on the caller ID or phone numbers because they can be easily spoofed to change to anything as the attacker wanted. I myself often receive phone calls or messages from the so-called police stations or immigration services because of the spoofing mechanism. So the kind of the takeaway is that the message itself has very limited information if you only analyze the textual features. So we definitely need more context to make reliable decisions. The other challenge I wanted to briefly mention is that between legitimate and phishing, there is a kind of vague decision boundary, especially when they involve spam messages. So here, we kind of define spam as unsolicited messages sending in volume to promote certain products or services that is usually in the gray area. We're talking about things like gambling, right? Gambling services or adult content. However, spam, the differences between phishing and spam is that spam usually do not involve impersonation. So even the promoted products, they don't lie about who they are. But phishing, on the other hand, that often involve impersonating another entity, like a popular brand or company or bank, to gain the victim's trust. So we have to be careful to distinguish these two when we design our mechanisms. So if we look at existing phishing detection solutions on the mobile phones, especially their interface, we often see examples like this, right? So we can see that they tell users that this is a phishing with a generic alert. In the alert, they will say something like, "This message may be scam," and they might have some suspicious senders, right? The problem is they really didn't explain why this particular message is suspicious based on information in this message. So in another word, there's no message specific explanations for users, decision making. Because of this, we wanted to investigate if we can provide a explanation to users why this particular message is flagged as a way to help them to make better decisions. So what we propose is to use the large language models or LMs to not only detect the phishing messages, but provide evidence-based explanations. So the key idea here is to gather some external context based on their URLs, domains, or screenshots of the website they're connected to provide a richer context information to support the chain of thought or reasoning of the LMs. So a key challenge we're trying to solve is to reduce the hallucination of LMs to make up the explanation, but rather to ground those explanations based on the evidence of the analysis. So here is our system architecture. What we propose a system is a SMISH X. So this system takes advantage of LM's to use and reasoning capabilities, right? LM could use tools to support their analysis as well. So given a incoming message or a message of interest, we first use LM to extract useful information such as URLs or brand names. And then we use those elements to help to search for more context information for the decision making. So for example, from the URLs, you can follow the redirection chain to find the hidden paths of the URL redirection. You can check the domain history of the domain names involved in the URL. You can visit the websites and get a screenshot or the website code to further analysis of what the website is about. You can also do brand name search. I wanted to give a little bit example of why we do the brand name search. The idea here is that through brand name search, you could figure out the true URLs associated with the brand so that you can distinguish the current URL in the message is trusted or not. So, for example, if the message says or claimed that it is coming from Netflix, you can search Netflix keyword in the search engine, and you will find that the real Netflix websites is ranked on the top. The intuition here is that it's going to be really difficult for attacker to create a fake website that look like Netflix, but have an even higher ranking than Netflix in Google or any search engines. Because real websites, usually the more popular one, that's why they're the target of the impersonation. So through this intuition, you can actually find the true URLs behind a brand and then check if the current URL you see in the message is trusted. Again, this is just one piece of the evidence that among the many other evidences that the LMs would eventually be exposed to so that they can make a holistic decision based on those. So after we collect the context information from using LMs and other tools, we feed those information to the reasoning LM, which performs a step-by-step analysis and try to classify the messages into phishing, spam, and legitimate. Then based on the analysis results, we ask the LM to generate a detailed explanation. And then we consider that a long and a detailed explanation could be overwhelming to users, especially for older adults. You don't want to read a detailed security reports about the analysis. What we did is that we have a second LM to summarize the reasoning into a much shorter explanations. By shorter, we're talking about 3 sentences. We found it's very helpful to have the LM have a detailed explanation first and then summarize into the shorter one. If you directly ask the LM to have a short explanation, they often miss the most important evidences. So the final outcome will look like something you see on the screen. So in this short explanation, it follows certain structure. It started by spit out the decision, right? The message is a phishing, it's a trusted. The LM make an overall decision first, and then there will be a shorter sentence to provide explanation why the decision is made based on the evidence they saw. They have to pick the most important evidences based on their judgments. And finally, the LM gave user a piece of advice how to act this safely. So for example, if they found there's impersonation of websites, the safer way is to, go to the official channel rather than click on the link, right? If they have a mobile app, if they bookmark the website themselves, go there instead of click the link provided by the attackers to check. If you get some request from a relative or a supervisor, the safer way might be just call them to verify rather than just directly act on the message. So we can look at some of the sort of evaluation results of this prototype system. So we collected over 1,000, more precisely 1,200 messages, labeled them. These are real-world messages we collected from, well, we get from other researchers that collected from, email message gateways or some real-world samples. So this involved about more than 500 malicious messages and 600 legitimate messages. So this figure shows the overall detection accuracy and also the breakdown performance on malicious messages and legitimate messages. So we compare our system with two recent machine learning-based phishing detectors. One of them is using traditional machine learning. The other one is also use large language models. We can see that the system performed pretty accurately with the overall accuracy of 98.8%, outperforming both baselines. But the more importantly, we want to argue that detecting messages accurately is kind of what we expected, but the more interesting bit is the explanation parts. So how can the system explain to users without performing hallucination? I don't have a particular slides to do the hallucination evaluation. This is also, again, done through manual verification, the hallucination from the system is barely exist. We find one case of a hallucination among all the things we evaluated. Um, so the more interesting bit for us is to understand how users kind of use the system. So this is where we start to do our user studies. The main focus of the research is to understand first the effectiveness, right? Would the AI explanation or AI agents help users recognize phishing and make better decisions? The other aspects is usability, right? How would users perceive the system and whether they would like to use them? And the third question is we wanted to understand the influence of the AI explanation to users in terms of their trust to AI and also their self-confidence or phishing detection performance. Also, interestingly, we want to see under what situations users would disagree with the AI agents and try to understand the rationale behind that. And finally, we want to understand how users respond to AI's errors or mistakes, whether human has the ability to correct those mistakes and errors. To answer these questions, we conduct our user study, and we cannot use a single study to answer all four questions. So we did a one study, study A, with 125 participants to focus on the first three questions. And then we did a study B with only 50 participants to understand the fourth question. The reason we do this is that the fourth question involves inserting controlled AI errors, and it will make the first three questions difficult to answer if we have this kind of actual control. So we decided to separate them. So we recruit participants from Prolific, which is an online platform. So as we mentioned, we want to make sure the system is usable to older adults. So we oversampled our participants for the older adult population. So 40% of our participants are 65 years old or above. So the participants take the study in a remote fashion, so they can use their web browser to access to our system, where we create a mobile UI mockup to emulate the interface. So let's look at the study design. So the study contains three phases, right? In the beginning, before they perform the phishing classification task, the users will do a quick pre-task survey where we ask questions such as their demographics information, we ask their, self-confidence in their phishing detection ability, and their general trust in AI. After that, we enter the main study components, which is ask users to perform a phishing detection task. So each participant in the study A would evaluate 10 messages. Five messages are phishing, and five messages are legitimate. These messages are mixed together and presented in a randomized order to the participant so that we can eliminate any kind of potential ordering effects. For study B, as we mentioned, we actually need to insert, controlled errors from the AI. So each participant would evaluate 11 messages. 10 of those messages are the same messages we used for study A. And we have one additional message which emulated AI mistakes. So in this particular case, the message is actually a phishing message. And the AI mistakenly say that that is a legitimate. And again, that's simulated a false negative error. Same as a study A, all the messages are presented in a randomized order. So this is a kind of sort of a mock-up view of what the participants see. For each message, the participants first make initial judgments based on their intuitions and their experience. They would determine if the message is fraudulent or legitimate. And after that, they can click this AI analysis button to see an AI explanation. And after reading the AI explanation, they have another chance to answer this question again, right? They can make a second decision either by changing their opinions or stick to their original opinion. So after the participant complete the evaluation task, and we have a post task survey where we first ask about their perceived usability of the system. We're using the standard system usability scale survey that contains 10 questions to assess this aspect, which will be generating a score from 0 to 100. Higher is better. On top of that, we have two open questions asking participants what they like and dislike about the system. And then we wanted to understand, their disagreements with the AI and their reasons. Um, During the task evaluation part, we record when users disagree with AI on a particular message. And at this stage, we brought that back on the fly to ask users about the situation, to reflect on the situation. So, for example, during the task evaluation, uh, let's see, their initial decision is the message is legitimate, but the AI says it's a phishing. And after reading the explanation, the user still say this is a legitimate. That creates a disagreement. So for those cases, we select, two cases to ask them why they disagree with the AI. And finally, we ask users to revisit the questions we asked before the task. For example, we ask them to rate their self-confidence or ability to recognize phishing messages. And also, we wanted to ask about how much they trust the AI agent's judgments. So now let's look at some of the results we get. So first, let's look at the effectiveness. In this figure, we compare their detection accuracy before reading the AI explanation versus after reading the AI explanation. As we can see that overall, users' accuracy of detecting phishing is improved from 71% overall accuracy before the AI usage to 92% accuracy after the AI. So we also break down the accuracy on phishing and legitimate messages separately, and the trend is very similar. We run a statistical test to show those differences are statistically significant. I wanted to point it out that we specifically look at the order add-outs of the results. The conclusion is also very consistent. So this indicates that the AI explanation would increase participants' phishing detection accuracy, including order add-outs. Then, if we look at the usability score, as we said, we were using the SUS score system to assess the perceived usability of the system. And the mean SUS score we got is 82.6, which is rated excellent. And this is the kind of indicates that the overall perceived usability of the system is positive. We did dig into the specific comments about what user like and dislike of the system. So explanation is a big part why people like the system. Some of the participants mentioned that they learned new knowledge about phishing detection methods or tricks from the explanation. They kind of learned a little bit more where to look. This makes us think that maybe there's a different kind of use cases of the system, not only for a detection system, but could be an educational tool as well to go through real world phishing messages and teach users how to spot them, like what AI does. The other aspects in terms of the people's complaints about the system is that the hope our system is better color coded so that they can immediately spot if the AI was saying this is a phishing or benign. So for example, one participant suggests that maybe use a red color on the explanation when the explanation is detecting as a phishing, or use a green color when the AI determined this is benign. So there's a lot of interesting suggestions in terms of how to improve the system. And there are indeed some kind of comments saying that even though you have three sentences, they still feel the explanation is too long. So there are suggestions in terms of give a quick decision, and that's it, and hide the explanation behind the button. Only if user want to see it, they can use the button to expand it. There are different kind of suggestions from users, and we're still processing what would be the best way to design the system. All right, so now let's look at the trusted and disagreement aspect of the questions. So as we mentioned, before and after the study, we ask users similar questions and then try to compare their answers. As you can see, in terms of trusting AI or our system, we see that before the study and then after the study, there is a statistically significant increase in terms of the trust score. Same thing for the self-confidence of participants' ability to detect phishing. So after using the AI agent, the participants become more confident in their own ability to recognize phishing. So this indicates that, users become more trusting towards our AI agent and their confidence is also increasing. However, I would say that increased trust in AI is not necessarily always good. I can explain why in a minute in the later slides, but that's kind of our initial reaction when we see the results. So this slide shows the kind of a disagreement analysis between human and AI, right? If you remember, we kind of ask users to explain why they disagree with AI on specific cases. And we also analyze how common this disagreement happens. What we found is that users are more likely to disagree with AI on legitimate messages, meaning that when this message is legitimate, and the AI also says this is legitimate. And there's more agreements. There's more often we see user insist that is malicious. So this means that user shows sort of healthy skepticism on messages, even if AI says that's safe to proceed. We further look at the reasons why user remains suspicious, and a shortened URL is a common factor, one of the common factors, which means that when a legitimate message is using shortened URL, they significantly decrease the user's trust. So the lessons that we learned is that if you're a legitimate service, it's probably the best idea not to use a shortened URL. You should show users the actual URL and your real domain name so that you can establish trust to your users. Um, in terms of the disagreement on phishing messages, this happens less common, meaning that when the message is phishing and the AI says it's phishing and the user says, no, I think it is a legitimate, that happens much less often. The more kind of a common reason is the context. The users believe that if the message is well within context, it is more trustworthy. So, for example, if there's a delivery message, there's regarding their upcoming delivery, so users are more likely to trust that message. As of the final question, in terms of AI errors impact, remember that for study B, we intentionally inserted a message where AI made a mistake. So for this, we wanted to see, we recruited 50 participants and want to see their reaction to this particular message. Um, so, uh, well, this message is a phishing message. And before they see the AI explanation, 24 participants label this as a phishing, which is correct. And 26 people label this as benign, which is incorrect. Then the AI's explanation says this is legitimate. Well, this is the AI error. After reading the explanation, most of the participants changed their idea and it tried to be aligned with AI decision. So in the end, 44 people says this is a legitimate, and only 6 people insisted that this is a phishing. So this is a kind of anecdote evidence we found that users show some over reliance on the AI decisions, which could be a risk as we move forward. Because we designed a system with the intention that human and AI should work together. AI can elevate humans when they are not good at detecting phishing, but a human can spot errors in AI. The over reliance could be a risk moving forward. So to reduce this risk of over-reliance, we have some thoughts. This is kind of one of the possible solutions, which is kind of adapt the explanations based on the message type or message labels. For example, for phishing messages, it's probably okay for the AI to say, well, this message is likely phishing. Here's the way how do you act safely. But on legitimate messages, we could tune the AI to make more conservative explanations. We could say there's no strong evidence of phishing. However, please act safely this way rather than click on the URLs. There are always an opportunity to provide a safe suggestion on how to handle a message, even if the message is illegitimate. Um, so here's kind of the quick summary of what we talk about. So in this project, we developed SmishX, which is focused on both detecting phishing messages, but also providing evidence-based explanations to lay users. We use a user study and also data-driven analysis to evaluate its performance. We show that the AI system can improve users' phishing detection accuracy and it received a good usability rating. Um, we also learned that users are more likely to disagree with AI on legitimate messages. However, we do observe anecdotally some over-reliance on AI when making decisions. This could be a potential concern. So we hope this work contributed to building a more transparent and trustworthy AI security tool collections to help people, especially older adults, to navigate cybersecurity threats. We share our code and data sets and also related to materials of how to reproduce the user study. So they are all in this GitHub repository and under this barcode, a QR code. Um, I know that we still have a lot of time, and I have one more thing. Um, so in addition to work on SMS-based phishing detection using AI, I also wanted to use this opportunity to reflect on or discuss with you about a phishing and social engineering attacks in this new AI era. In particular, AI can be used for defense. However, AI can also use for attacks, right? We're talking from the attacker's perspective and think about, well, how attackers are leveraging AI to attack our victims. Um, this is something I wanted to reflect on and discuss with you. So in particular, in this Gen AI era, we have a lot of tools that can generate deepfakes, right? So we're specifically talk about AI generated media content such as text, images, videos, audio, voices, you can name it. So these tools can be used to generate different kind of videos and images on demand. Now you don't have to have any ability to know computer science or host your own models or run your own models. You can use different services with a simple user prompt. Just ask. They can customize the media content for you on demand. This essentially lower the bar and expertise in terms of cost, in terms of time for attackers to run different kind of attacks, and also scale up those attacks dramatically compared to what we do 10 years ago. So you might see this kind of images like on the internet before. Politicians were impersonated or fabricated in terms of what they do, what they say. One particular interesting example is the third image. If you recognize this guy's name is Mr. Beast. He's an internet celebrity that make a lot of fun YouTube videos. He has a lot of followers on the internet. Now, this is a TikTok video of a deep fake of him. Somebody deep faked Mr. Beast to claim that he will give away, 10,000 lucky people who will get an iPhone 12, 15 Pro for just, $12. Now, if you watch any of Mr. Beast's video, you will not be surprised that he will give away that many iPhones. It's not a surprise. A lot of the YouTube budget could have hundreds thousand dollars or even $1 million, budget for making those videos. So this is clearly a scam, but you can already see the potential of these deepfake content used for social engineering and deception. So basically, more specifically, the key here, I think, is the ability for deepfake to perform impersonation of somebody you trust. So here, you can generate your target person's voices and face images and audio and a video in a streamed version. You don't have to pre-record the video. You can actually stream in real time using this deepfake technique. So this particular video was created by my students without me involved. I simply say, hey, go ahead and create a deep fake version of me, see how it goes. And I did not cooperate. I did not provide anything. The student find public images of me and probably found a talk I gave many years ago, and that's kind of the video he can generate, right? Just wanted to give you a few seconds of sample of this. Hello, I'm a virtual professor, and this is actually not Gung Wang from the University of Illinois speaking, but only a generated video by his graduate student with use of just public domain content. So you just know me for a few minutes or like 10, 20 minutes, right? I think the voice is very similar to mine. When I hear this, I think, well, there's a little bit glitches here and there, but if you don't pay a close attention, the voice quality is pretty good. The lip syncing was there, but I think that advantage of not have a perfect video is that a lot of the real world situations where interacting with others, you don't have a perfect video as well. Well, think about the Zoom, right? There's bad network connections. Your Zoom videos always is not super clear. Think about a FaceTime when the phone signals is not good. You have some lower quality videos or glitches on the video. So that actually offer a benign explanation of why those artifacts exist. So that's kind of the point I want to make. And I don't have a solution to this. All I'm saying is that I do have active research in this domain. We're conducting user studies to understand how this kind of a live streamed deepfake, affect users' perception in terms of trust. The same students create a live stream version of this where you can wear anybody's face while interacting with another person. Hello. Okay. So this is not just like something I'm concerning, I'm worried in the lab. We already seeing many kind of instances happening in the real world. This is really just happening. For example, not too recently, in 2024, there was a financial worker in Hong Kong transferred $25 million to the attacker because the attacker lured him to a Zoom call where in the Zoom call, he thought he was interacting with his chief financial officer. He's a CFO. After a quick conversation, he decided that's a legitimate request. Then he wired the money, right? This is kind of among a couple of deepfake enabled attacks that we see in the real world. Now we're talking about a FaceTime, right? We're talking about a Zoom calls. There are many other kind of those kind of multimedia channels where you can quickly get 5 minutes or even 30 seconds of the victim's time to get their trust and then move the communication to another channel to complete the rest of the transaction. So I will stop here, and I wanted to, kind of call for a reflection or think about or discussion about what this means for our older adults. So imagine that you get a phone call or FaceTime from your beloved grandchildren or your children to say, "Hey, I'm in trouble. I need some kind of money to bail me out." So for the older adults, do they have the way to handle this type of threats? Although these kind of threats is not widely deployed yet, but when the costs continue dropping, so I don't think this is too far away in the future. So I will stop here and thank you very much of attending today. As David said, is close to the holiday season, and I'm very happy to take any questions or have a discussion with you.
Alrighty, thank you, Yang Wang. So yeah, we open up the questions. I think we have one question in the chat. Anna, if you want to either reiterate, speak it out loud, you can, or you can also just have Gong read it. It's up to your preference.
Yeah. So I think Anna asked about the question in terms of how the Smith Acts compared to other products or apps in the market. Unfortunately, I would say that I have not used these apps yet, so I cannot speak clearly about their differences. But if you would like to talk a little bit about what this app does, maybe I can, see if there's differences or they're performing very similar tasks.
Yes, sure. Thank you, Gang. So, for example, Bitdefender's Cameo is an app where a user can paste in an SMS message or even an email that they received,
Mm,
and then the app will evaluate the message and provide the response in terms of whether or not this is likely to be a scam. So
mm,
it appears to be very similar
mm.
to the way in which SmishX also evaluates messages, although these responses are not short. And
Mm.
Senior Shield AI is actually a great app. It's a paid app that also evaluates SMS messages and emails in the same fashion. So
Yeah,
the user would provide a screenshot of the text message or the email, and the app would evaluate whether or not it's a scam and provide a rationale for doing so.
got it. Well, thank
And
you for the point. Yeah,
and
thank you.
Senior Shield AI also trains users on identifying scams. So there are a series of quizzes that users can take in order to practice identifying scams in the wild as well.
I can
Got
see
you.
John is itching to jump
Yeah,
in
I
as
see John
the
there.
founder of the.
Yeah, I probably won't dive into how it's different. I don't think we have enough time for that. But yeah, I
Mhm.
just, Anna, thanks for bringing it up. I am actually the founder and creator of SeniorShield.ai. I've actually reached out to Gong before and we'll be speaking, I'm sure, in the coming days.
Yeah, so thanks, John. So I think the interesting part is that there are different ways once you get the initial content in terms of how do you get the external context to support the analysis. One thing we found is that if you just rely on the text, it's much harder to get the accuracy high. Uh, the kind of interesting thing we observe is that using the textual feature, detecting phishing is actually doable. You get some good accuracy, but not as good as, the one that you have the external context. But the real thing that benefits the accuracy, the benefit more is the classifying legitimate messages. Some of the context is useful to reduce false positives, so to speak. So at least that's kind of what empirically what we observed.
I'll add my 2 cents on what I've seen in building SeniorShield.ai. Large language models, it's very difficult to, like Gong had mentioned, a very short message. It may look legitimate. One thing we did at SeniorShield.ai was figuring out where those messages are coming from, especially from short codes. A lot of those short codes are actually coming from legitimate organizations. We built up a database of all legitimate short code numbers that those messages may come from, um, to try to reduce those false positives.
Thanks, John. I'm reading another question. Do you know if users trust QR code at a higher rates than shortened URLs? My perception is that it's easier to hide phishing sites behind QR codes too. Um, I don't know if QR code is commonly used in phishing messages. Uh, Probably that's a slightly different context, right? So if you think about when you are having flyers, when you have some other kind of media, that QR code is easy for people to scan and visit the sites. That's a very interesting question. I didn't do any research in that domain. But I think the concept is very similar. When there is a QR code, the user cannot really see the websites before the scanning. Is actually inherently reduce the trust. For people who were careful, the naturally distrust something like shortened URLs or QR code. However, um, the problem with the QR code, there's no other way around because the point is that you do a quick scan, you go to the websites. So I think the job is probably more on the browser vendor's side. So if you remember, for a long time, your mobile phone's browser really does not display the website domain as our web browser. Uh, Many browsers have different logics in terms of what part of the domain name they show, which could really mess up people's way to inspect the websites. So in the recent years, things are getting a little bit more standardized. You start to see the URLs and the domain names. But again, right, phones have a small screen, and how do you selectively show the information while highlighting the security critical parts? I think that should be the focus. Um, but yeah, so my short answer is that I don't know if user trust the QR code more than the shortened URLs or shortened URLs more than the QR code. All right, I see another question. Um, I'm okay. Res With respect to this horrible romance scams, how my psychological aspects of the seniors living shapes research like yours. Um, I understand you are working on SMS phishing. Uh, okay, got you. So the question is about the romance scam against the older adults, and the psychological aspects is probably related to the fact that, for example, people live in isolation. They are lonely. They don't have family members around. Um, I don't work in this domain actively, but I do have colleagues who work on a recent type of scam that called a pig butchering scam. I don't know if folks heard about this type of scam. The difference is that, a lot of the SMS scams or, phishing emails we see, it is like a one and done scams, right? They send a lot of messages out and they hope a small portion of them, receivers click and react to it, and it's really quick, they lose their money. For pig butchering, their targets people in the long run. So the scammers will sort of making friends with the targets. And the relationship can last for weeks, months, sometimes can be as close to a year to really pull the scams off. Um, Romance is one aspect. They're not necessarily targeting older adults, but older adults is definitely part of the targets. And I think recently there is a trend to do this kind of uh, uh, friendship exploitation. Probably again, targeting people who lives in isolation, don't have many friends. They just wanted to become your buddies. I heard that the scammers even go online, play video games with you, become your friends. And once the friendship start to develop, not necessarily romantically, then you build a trust. And the next thing is financial investment, buying cryptocurrency. Those kind of traditional scams will kick in. I do think there is a ongoing trend of those kind of pig butchering. Again, it's very different types. It's more kind of a longitudinal rather than short terms, but probably not as scalable of compared to the more traditional scams. But I do wanted to echo the psychological aspects. It's pretty powerful weapon to exploit.
I guess if there's no question, I guess I had a question, Gong. We sort of when we met yesterday, we are sort of bringing up this point. Is sort of you met, you have you gave the example of, sort of how easy deep fakes and sort of these short clip videos are, and I think, that makes sense. But in terms of, legitimate message detection or phishing detection with, sort of tools that are available once, sort of say the attacker side of the equation starts using these. How do you see the challenges in, sort of staying in abreast of those developments and developing systems that will be, sort of with the human element being these agents sort of facilitating and strengthening people's natural inclination to be suspicious. Um, I guess where do you see the opportunities and the challenges moving forward from, a detection perspective? Obviously, there's the challenges of scaling this and getting people to use it, but from a, sort of what are the future challenges you perceive?
I think that's a great question, and obviously there's no single answer, right? But here's my kind of thinking process. The technology landscape is evolving very quickly. Again, it means that the defenders have better tools to build their system to do detection, to do explanation, to do mitigation. Same can be said for attackers. Now AI can really scale up some of the traditional phishing campaigns that are difficult to scale. And they could have a much higher quality content creation capability to facilitate that process. One kind of a simple anecdote I want to mention that AI now can do automatic reconnaissance and information collection for targeted phishing campaigns that is really hard to do in the past. Like they can scan the internet, find personally identifiable information, create profiles for users, know their relative, their family members, and start to craft targeted phishing messages that says, "Hey, John, this is your colleague that you haven't met for a long time," right? They know those relationships. AI can automatically mine those information and build customized phishing messages that way. Um, the defense side, I think there is things that are short-lived that is like useful for to teach users, but they might not be robust in the long run. For example, we talk about deepfake artifacts, right? Deepfake is not perfect. There's always glitches, right? Sometimes, for example, I remember in previous years, if you move your fingers around your face, if the face is deep faked in the live stream, they will have glitches because when you cover part of the face, the AI just can't catch up the computation quickly enough to kind of simulate this kind of cover up movements. But you know what? A couple of years later, the AI do much better. This kind of simple trick you teach user to ask the person to move their finger a little bit, it doesn't work on some of the better AI models anymore. The point I was trying to make is that we can teach users to spot artifacts, to find suspicious signals, but we also want to be really careful in terms of not teaching them some of the features that are easily overcome by the attackers or easily outdated very quickly. However, I think the good news is that, there are always security tips that can be robust. I can give you one example. So I think for very critical messages that demanded action, especially the messages that, impersonate a trusted entity, you can always teach users to verify through external channel. This advice probably would never expire. Whether that's doable under sort of emergent situations, that's debatable. But if user have this mindset that always verify through a channel that's different from the one I get, that's more reliable than just teaching them different features or typosing the messages or some URLs is short or long, those kind of superficial features. Again, right, I give the example of older adults, receive a phone call from their grandchildren where the voice is their grandchildren, and they were panicking, they're in trouble, they're in a different country, they need money. Whether they can just, pause, breathe, and think about it, and maybe call their parents, maybe call their child to verify, hey, is John is really traveling to Asia. Is he really like right now in a trouble situation? This kind of thing I think we can teach users, but again, it's challenging for user to operate under those high pressure situations. But my point is, there's something that probably get outdated very quickly, and we be careful not teaching the user the wrong lessons.
Alrighty. Thank you, Wang. Any other questions? Otherwise, we're right at the end, so we have 3 minutes, but happy to give people 3 minutes back as the holidays approach and you can get your Christmas shopping or holiday of choice accomplished. So thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.